I want you to picture this. You are driving up to this massive high-speed, 6-lane intersection right at rush hour.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And you realize the city just permanently turned off all the traffic lights.
Just totally dark.
Totally dark, simply because they couldn't find anyone to actually flip the switch. And the thing is, you don't get to turn around. You just have to navigate the chaos completely on your own.
Which is a terrifying thought.
Right. But if you've been tracking the relentless squeeze on general aviation lately, you know the pressure is mounting. Because that exact scenario is, well, it's exactly what is happening in the skies over Colorado right now.
It really is.
Welcome to today's Deep Dive, by the way. I'm so glad you're joining us. Today, we are stepping into the fascinating, high-stakes, and just rapidly changing world of local aviation in June of 2026.
And we've got some great source material for this one.
We do. We are looking at the June 2026 edition of Flightlines. It's the official newsletter of the Colorado Pilots Association, or the CPA. And this isn't just a newsletter about airplanes.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this because it's a perfect microcosm of the modern challenges facing all specialized communities today.
Yeah.
You've got this balancing act between pure passion, skyrocketing costs, and, frankly, completely strained infrastructure.
Yeah, it's like a highly exclusive, magic-infused secret club, right? But the cost of entry is going way up, the clubhouse is constantly under construction, and the bouncers have all basically gone home.
Exactly. It's wild. What happens when that romantic ideal of, the freedom of flight collides head-on with the really gritty realities of 2026 economics?
Well, the tension in these pages is just palpable. You can feel it.
You really can.
Yeah.
And before we even deal with the logistics of flying or the airspace constraints, we have to look at the people in the cockpit, right? The human element.
Absolutely, because the entire ecosystem relies on a human foundation that is currently under immense strain.
Yeah, and Andy Holmes, who is the CPA president, he dedicates his letter this month not to, regulatory battles or fuel prices, but almost exclusively to community building.
Which tells you a lot about their priorities right now.
Right. So he's pushing this brand new initiative. Get this, it's called the Ramp Talk Student Pilot Social and Education Series.
Catchy.
Yeah, it kicks off on Thursday, July 16th from 6:00 to 7:30 p.m. And the setup is pretty simple. Free pizza, some networking, and a short ground lesson.
But the why here is what's really fascinating. Andy explicitly notes the profound isolation that student pilots feel.
Yeah, because learning to fly right now is an incredibly arduous process. You're absorbing volumes of aeronautical physics, meteorology, federal regulations.
All while balancing your career, your family, and the, frankly, staggering financial drain of just paying for flight hours.
But wait, isn't flying supposed to be this, hyper-independent lone wolf endeavor? I mean, why do these highly trained, self-reliant pilots need a Thursday night pizza party?
Well, that lone wolf image is kind of a myth, honestly. What's fascinating here is that aviation actually requires a massive transfer of tribal knowledge.
Tribal knowledge, I like that.
Yeah, it's critical for safety and survival. The FAA gives you the baseline rules, right? But the actual survival skills, knowing how to read the micro-weather patterns in a specific mountain valley, or knowing which mechanic you can trust with your life, that is passed horizontally from pilot to pilot.
Oh, wow. So if you're isolated, you just don't get that info.
Exactly. Mentorship is literally safety infrastructure. That's why they are pushing grassroots student events right alongside these massive historical milestones.
Which brings us to June 6th, because that is a massive day for their community events. Up at Emily Warner Field in Granby, they are celebrating a 50th anniversary for Emily Howell Warner.
An absolute legend.
Right. She made history back in 1976 as the first female pilot hired by a U.S. commercial airline, which was Frontier Airlines.
And on that exact same day, down at Centennial Airport, Capaipa, they are running a 5K race.
Literally on the runway 1-28.
Right on the tarmac. It's such a surreal, brilliant way to force the public to interact with a space they usually only see from the sky.
It is. But that physical interaction kind of highlights the next big point of friction. That human web of mentorship is really going to be tested because the actual physical environment is mutating fast.
Oh, absolutely. The infrastructure is incredibly stressed right now.
Take Northern Colorado Regional Airport, KFNL. Starting June 1st, they're kicking off this massive construction project to widen runway 1-33. They're taking it from 100 feet to 150 feet wide.
Which is a huge investment in long-term capacity.
Huge. But the immediate reality, total logistical nightmare. Until November 9th, the runway is temporarily shortened to just 3,750 feet.
Which in the hot, thin air of Colorado summer fundamentally changes the physics of taking off.
Oh yeah, density altitude is no joke.
Mm.
And while pilots are sweating the math on that shortened runway, the airport administration is dealing with urban encroachment. Kelly Pride, the KFNL admin, had to put out a super strict reminder in the newsletter.
Right, about the air operations area.
Yeah, the actual act of Carmack.
Yeah.
She had to explicitly say, hey, this is not for jogging or personal recreation, no walking, and absolutely no free roaming pets.
Only properly restrained service animals or law enforcement animals.
I mean, just picture someone casually walking a golden retriever across a taxiway while a pilot is doing complex weight and balance math.
It perfectly captures the clash between suburban sprawl and aviation, doesn't it?
It really does. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember my traffic light analogy from the start?
The intersection with no lights.
Yes. That is literally happening at Colorado Air and Spaceport, KCFO. They are officially going ATC 0.
Wow. ATC 0 at a literal air and spaceport.
I know. Due to severe staffing shortages, they literally only have 2 controllers available. The control tower will be completely closed on weekends starting June 6th.
And only opens 7:00 a.m. to 6:00 p.m. on weekdays.
Exactly. They permanently turned off the traffic lights because they couldn't find anyone to flip the switch.
And if you think critically about the why here, it's profound. You've got airports pouring concrete to widen runways to 150 feet, right? Massive growth. But then a major facility has no weekend air traffic control.
The physical hardware is expanding, but the human software is totally breaking down.
Exactly. It highlights a massive human infrastructure crisis. Pilots have to just revert to untowered communication, announcing their positions in the blind on a busy Saturday.
Which is stressful enough. But it's not just airspace and concrete that are getting squeezed. It's also the pilots' wallets.
Oh, the economic friction is intense.
Let's look at the Centennial Airport rent battle. Tenants in the town hangars are fighting a massive rent hike proposed by the Denver Jet Center.
Right, and just to be clear, these aren't luxury jet suites. These are basic T hangars.
Corrugated metal boxes to keep the hail off your Cessna. And the rent was set to increase on April 1st, 2026, from $660 a month to $1,200 a month.
That is an 82% single adjustment increase.
Yeah, 82% overnight. The newsletter points out that's 140% higher than a few years ago and 150% more than similar hangars at other Denver airports.
Which is why the tenants are pushing back so hard.
Right. They are demanding the financial justification for this. And they're actually questioning FAA compliance because airports that take federal money have to ensure reasonable access for all aeronautical activities.
So the pilots are arguing that a hike that massive is essentially an exclusionary barrier.
Exactly. Now, we're not taking sides here, but it's a stark look at how raw market forces are clashing with federal guidelines at landlocked urban airports.
And that scarcity isn't just happening in the city. Look at the fly-in events.
Oh man, the fly-in friction. Bill Marvel wrote about this. The CPA fly-ins to these small mountain towns got so popular that pilots were basically pre-booking the blocked hotel rooms before they even registered for the event.
Shutting everyone else out.
Total lockout. So now there's a new planning and priority list, the PMP list. Priority goes strictly to those who expressed interest way back in February.
It's basically the law of supply and demand playing out in real time.
But so what does this all mean? If hangar rents jump 82% overnight, and you have to fight just to get a hotel room for weekend fly-in, does general aviation just become a playground exclusively for the ultra-rich?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, both the hangar rents and the sold-out hotels stem from the exact same root cause.
Highly constrained supply.
Highly constrained supply meeting a very passionate, growing demand. The space is limited, but people still desperately want to fly.
And they refuse to be grounded, which is the coolest part of this newsletter. Despite the hurdles, the community is actively modernizing.
Yeah, they are pushing forward on 2 totally different frontiers at once.
Yeah.
The digital and the physical.
Let's talk about the digital first. The CPA is finally migrating away from their old Club Express website in June 2026.
It was 7 years old, which is ancient in web years.
Ancient. Brian Garrett, the webmaster, pointed out the old site had bad URLs and, get this, an 11-step sign-up process.
11 steps. That's a great way to kill the exact community building Andy Holmes is trying to foster.
Right. I mean, I can get a mortgage on my phone in 3 steps. So they are moving to a fully owned platform requiring a password reset for everyone and asking for early bird volunteers to test it out.
So they're modernizing the digital tools, But on the physical side, they're preserving the most rugged forms of flying imaginable.
It's like off-roading, but in the sky.
Exactly. The CPA is mapping the literal wilderness. There are now 20 charted Colorado mountain passes, and they just released Phase 2 of 10 GPS VFR waypoints.
Which are so vital because flying in the Rockies is completely unforgiving.
It really is. Accident statistics show that pilots without specialized knowledge get into serious trouble up there.
Which is why they are hosting high-elevation mountain flying ground schools this summer, June 27th, August 15th, and September 19th.
They're actively trying to save these spaces. They're organizing volunteer workdays to go out and manually restore dirt, grass, and backcountry airstrips.
I just love that contradiction. On one hand, they are killing a dinosaur of a website and dealing with 150-foot wide concrete runways.
And the $1,200 hangars.
Yeah. But on the other hand, they are actively relying on elbow grease and shovels to keep literal dirt strips in the middle of nowhere open.
It really is a beautiful dichotomy. As urban airports get more corporatized and expensive, the true soul of aviation is pushing back into the mountains.
It's incredible. So to wrap up our deep dive today, June 2026 in Colorado aviation is just this wild landscape. You have a community celebrating 50-year historical milestones and running 5Ks on active runways.
While simultaneously fighting 82% rent hikes, navigating massive construction, and flying into major airports with zero air traffic control.
It's a lot to navigate.
It is, and it leaves you with a final, I think, really provocative thought to ponder.
Lay it on.
As aviation technology advances and these major airports become more highly corporatized and squeezed, will the future of true general aviation abandon the paved runways entirely?
Wow.
Think about it. In 10 years, will the only place left to experience the pure, unsqueezed freedom of flight be on some forgotten, volunteer-maintained dirt patch high up in the Colorado mountains?
That is such a fascinating question and something you should all definitely chew on today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the June 2026 edition of Flightlines. Keep looking up, and we'll catch you next time.